no new positive cases and no confirmed statistics. Businesses forecast further decline. And one man's efforts to survive after retirement.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. While countries around the world continue to record positive cases of COVID-19 resurfacing, no new cases have been reported in PNG since the last positive case 2 months ago. Questions on testing capacity and capabilities were put to the Deputy Controller, Dr. Paisen Dakulala. He responded that the polymerase chain reaction or PCR test can be done by the Institute of Medical Research, while the genetic expert testing for COVID-19 in provincial hospitals is still limited. Dr. Dakulala added that ongoing research will determine PNG's status.
Be aware and not complacent. Just because PNG has not recorded a positive COVID-19 case in the last 2 months. This was the response from Deputy Controller Dr. Paisen Dakulala on the lack of statistics that would allow the public to be aware if they were at risk of contracting COVID-19.
Take on board this message carefully. Remember what we just said, prevention is better than cure. So the social distancing, look, you could say, okay, someone has to come and police it and ensure that that's done. But I would like to suggest that we take it on ourselves and take on board that responsibility. The buck stops with you and I. So we need to take it on board and do that because our life could depend on that.
But one thing is for sure, they are aware where the threat is. Indonesian border city Jayapura, which Dr. Paisen Dakulala says, has seen nearly all cases for Indonesia coming from the border city that shares its border with Vanimo.
Almost 100% of the new cases are from Jayapura city. And that is very, very challenging because the numbers there are increasing rapidly, and so that concern has been raised, and so we have to be very vigilant around our border settings, not only in Jayapura itself, but also in the Digiol Regency, which is the middle part of Papua, and then down in Merauke, there's been cases that have also been increasing. And so this is important for us to know that right on our border, that's a big issue for us.
Currently, the scientific community here in PNG are carrying out research into why exactly PNG has not seen community transmission. Dr. Dakulala stating for the 8 positive cases, reasons into why there were no community transmissions are only theories, and by next week the rapid diagnostic testing should give some insight.
Our scientific community are still having difficulty to understand what's happening. There is some possibilities and some suggestions that this could be a result of generally a younger population in our country, and some models have suggested that. We've already done over 5,000 tests, and we are in the process of completing the rapid diagnostic test, which is an operational research, and there will be about 12,000 tests that will be done. On the basis of that, we will have more figures to enable our people to be given this data and the figures.
Until then, the message remains the same. Physical and social distance yourself in public areas and practice healthy hygiene practices. Adelaide Sirokskari, National EMTV News.
Morbe Governor Ginson Saunu has hinted at plans to establish one secondary school in every Morbe local level government council area as part of plans to make education accessible to more children. The governor was in Mare along the Lei Bulolo Highway where he broke ground for a new double classroom. It's a project that he expects will add to provincial education reforms.
At this small occasion at Mare Village, the Morbe Governor Ginson Saunu announced the start of a double classroom project.
2-in-1 one classroom, he can come up from Mare Primary School.
Saonu is preaching the education message all over the province, placing special importance on early childhood learning. With the start of the project, the Education Division expects to expand the vision, giving more children access to education.
Narapla education reform program Blumipla, adult literacy.
The bigger goal is to ensure more kids spend more time in education institutions. The Morobe provincial government is looking to increase the number of secondary schools to have at least one in each local level government area.
We got LGs, 33 LGs, but people are giving 1 man high school and 1 man vocational schools.
With just 2 years left and a lot more to do, the Morobe governor has made no secret of the fact that he wants to be voted back into office to continue this work. Scott Whitey, National EMTV News, Ley.
Ley's West Taraka Health Centre is expected to be turned into an urban clinic. The clinic is funded by the Australian government through the Asian Development Bank at a cost of 9 million kina, part of the 500 million kina Anga redevelopment program. It is the first biggest Australian government-funded service to West Taraka in the Huon Gulf district that has lacked services over the years, including water supply.
Ley's West Taraka Urban Clinic is one of the 2 urban clinics in Ley that was chosen by the Health Division to be upgraded. It's one of the 7 health facilities funded by the Australian Government's Health Service Delivery Project that has completed and opened 28 community aid posts and 2 health centres across 9 provinces and 19 districts around the country. The project has 7 more health facilities to be completed, including the West Taraka Urban Clinic and Tent City in Ley.
It means that we're delivering or providing good health infrastructure and health services close to where people live, but helping them to know that they can get more specialised health clinics through health services through really good referral pathways across the province when that's needed.
It will be the first of its type in Papua New Guinea. It will be the first urban clinic to offer birthing services to mothers.
And we're doing this because PNG is very important to us. We want PNG to succeed. My job here is to pursue the Australian interest, and for me I see the Australian interest is if PNG is succeeding, then Australia is winning and we all benefit.
The health centre was originally a community hall and was later converted into a clinic. Since then, there has been no maintenance or development over 20 years until operation stopped in July last year for upgrade. There used to be 11 staff working here, serving a population of 20,000 people from 4 districts in Morobe. The construction of the new urban clinic would take a year to complete.
You like him service by your workmen. Our workmen by come next week, they'll start low workload here. Look at him all, no can bugger him all. Time I'll pity slow work, this slow work, he come up. No can make him over something, house sick. Look at him house sick, look at him workmen. Now plenty service by come behind.
It's very nice because service come back area. Because people bagandu pla clinic.
Thank you, Lord Donna. Thank you.
This project is the second biggest since the road ceiling 4 years ago. West Taraka has seen little in service delivery in the last 20 years. Ley District has stepped in to assist in consultation with the High Commission and the Health Division, with West Taraka being one of the recipients of the health facilities. The community still has been without water supply for almost 4 years.
We got a number of community projects need to be upgraded or improved. One problem and police station here, water supply, and I think school, primary school, vocational school run by Catholic Church somewhere down here. Those are the services that is improving, because you look at the man-made established West Taraka, it's mini Papua New Guinea. All over Papua New Guinea only come to establish here. So I mean, if we have to spend money to serve West Taraka, it means we have to help them help Papua New Guinea.
Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Ley.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Army Officer 2nd Lieutenant Murray Oa, who attacked partner and boxer Debbie Kara, has been granted 1,200 kina bail by the Waigani District Court. His appearance in court comes 4 days after he was filmed head-butting, hitting and burning Kara with a hot iron. The incident sparked a raging debate on social media. The court heard that Oa's request for police bail was refused. According to NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Perodrano, granting Oa police bail would only draw more social media debate. Bail, however, was granted, with Magistrate Tracy Ganai saying matters going viral on social media is not a ground for refusal of bail, and ordered that Oa be released on bail under strict conditions. Lays Metropolitan Superintendent Chris Kunyanban says the clash at 15 block in Lays Back Road area has been brought under control following a mediation on Sunday. The clash, which sparked from an alcohol-related incident last week, involved 3 groups of people, resulting in over 10 properties damaged.
Control. I've spoken to all the leaders on Friday. Personally, I spoke to all the leaders, the Minimas, the Wasara people, the Kubale and the Yangrus. They have agreed with me to sort that issue, and that issue was sorted out on Sunday last week. So that problem now has been taken control of.
East New Britain Chamber of Commerce President David Stein has demanded the East New Britain provincial government to clarify how the 20 million kina tourism money was used. Stein says the acquittals of the funding, if any, haven't been made public since 2016. He says the projects earmarked to be developed using that money still remained incomplete.
This is a section of the Tokoa to Kokopu Road, an important infrastructure listed in the East New Britain Tourism Development Plan. It's an infrastructure that should have been fixed using a portion of a 20 million kina funding from the national government in 2016. But that didn't happen as the money was put to other use.
We've got to have control.
The East New Britain Chamber of Commerce President David Stein has joined the call made by the public, business houses and other organizations who are demanding the East New Britain provincial government to provide an explanation on how the funding was used.
I'm calling on the provincial government to properly acquit that 20 million that was spent. Let us know where that money went to.
The Kokopo to Tokoa Road is one of many other projects that were earmarked under the East New Britain Tourism Plan that will be developed using the 20 million kina to boost the tourism industry in the province. Last week, questions on the tourism funding were put to the Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Emil Tamur.
And the provincial government has done a report, and the onus is on them now to come out and present the report. So
there was other questionable things like land mobilisation. There was a solar lighting project which they said cost 1 million kina, but
it's been 4 years since the funding was made available by the national government. The East New Britain provincial government, however, has remained unresponsive to concerns relating to how the money was spent. What have surfaced so far are allegations and more questions that still need answers. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The Papua New Guinea Cancer Foundation has partnered with B-Mobile as its official communications partner in conducting cancer outreach campaign activities. Under this partnership, B-Mobile will provide in-kind support to PNG's Cancer Foundation cancer outreach campaigns, which include 2 major fundraiser events. PNG Cancer Foundation's Executive Manager Ms. Priscilla Napoleon thanked B-Mobile for their support and says this partnership would extend the reach of PNGCF's outreach awareness activities. B-Mobile's National Marketing Manager Nathaniel Lapani says B-Mobile is happy to support PNG Cancer Foundation and its cancer outreach campaigns, and this partnership embodies B-Mobile's belief in the foundation's work. Number One Trophy Limited group of companies donated desks and chairs to Tembari Children's Care at ATS outside Port Moresby today. This donation has provided some relief to the students and teachers of the school.
Number One Trophy Limited has helped to aid and improve Tembari facilities by building and renovating a double-story classroom. Many of the students in the school are orphans and come from vulnerable homes.
Building, through our Number One Real Estate company as well as our South Pacific Paint company. Through South Pacific Paint as well, we've painted the school. Our assistance has included providing regular support of water to fill the tanks on our property. So there's about 2 tanks that carry 9,000 litres each.
NWTL has done a lot for Tembari Children's Care with the aim to help the children of the community. They have contributed 90,000 kina over 2 years, including the chairs and desks presented today.
Be able to come here. We believe that this donation, Hayward, will help our children with their learning experience and supporting them as they transition through education here at Tembari.
Tembari Children's Care founder Haywood Sagambo was very appreciative of the support and contribution from NWTL to the community.
Trophy House and a group of companies. I've seen your value exactly is 90,000, and I think this company has done a lot, contributed to a community service program. And I've seen the face of the school, and with the donation of these desks, it's a very brand new desk. I think it's a new product in Papua New Guinea, and I believe it's very expensive.
Elijah Levette, National EMTV News.
Residents of Gaira Village, Central Province, have taken it upon themselves to do something about the flooding they experienced. Yesterday, the whole village went out with bush knives, shovels and other tools for a massive cleanup at the main waterways.
The Gaira community in the Central Province came out in full force yesterday to clean up all remains left by the flood caused by continuous rains in the last months.
You know, flood brings any debris from inland, so you just saw them. Some of them, been here for quite a while.
The flood had left so much debris which clogged up the river that flows into the sea. This caused water to build up and overflow into the village and even onto the road. The community took the initiative to do this cleanup as there were risks of increased mosquitoes and other dangers.
If nothing is going to do, the flood will stay, and there's mosquitoes, you name it, So those are the things we have to clear out. It's all community initiative.
The villagers hope that they can come up with a sustainable, durable way to stop the flood from occurring again. Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
In efforts to sustain his family after retirement and address food security, a retired Defence Force officer has gone into fish farming. With his retirement savings, retired PNGDF officer Murphy Memafu Kila built a fish pond with over 500 fish, which are now ready for his first harvest. According to Kila, this is the biggest fish pond in the southern region, and there are plans for more development on his fish farming project.
This is the fish farm built by the retired Defence Force officer at Taurama in the Mosby South electorate. Murphy Memafu Kila looks after over 1,000 tilapia in 2 big ponds together with some eels in a smaller pond. Kila says this is something to sustain his family and to keep himself busy after retirement.
So I started this thing off so I can have a backup, sustain myself and my family. So my family can have food on the table, So I started off something that I can make money out from and continue sustaining my life after the Defence Force. That was the initiative. That was the whole aim behind it.
Kila's interest to go into sustainable fish farming comes after witnessing his colleagues faced with the challenge of living a normal life after retirement. With his retirement savings, he purchased a piece of land to build this fish pond. And with technical support from the National Fisheries Authority, fish were brought in from Sirinumu Dam in Central Province together with feeds for the fish. After months of breeding, over 400 fish are now ready for harvest. According to Kila, this is the biggest fish farm in the southern region.
But this is the first of its kind in the southern region. The fisheries officer told me that this is the biggest fish pond so far, in the southern region. There are some around, but they are not like commercial. But this is not commercial. I want to sustain myself.
In an effort to keep unemployed youths off the streets, Kila also employed youths from the area. And with the little he has, he is paying them 10 kina per day to work at the fish farm. However, he is faced with funding challenges.
So these guys they're from Madavada. So they're living on 10 kina. I'm paying them 10 kina every day. Yeah. But those are challenges. The challenge is the money for making it work out.
With the fish now ready for harvest, the challenge now is to look for markets. Kila says there are shops in the nation's capital which have shown interest to buy his fish.
So what we get here, the first lot by people giving all neighbors here. One people give out all neighbors. What's left behind by people selling in the market. But we've already got SVS who are willing to buy it. So they want to buy fish that's 1 kilo and below.
With the revenue raised from the fish farm, the fish farmer is planning to expand the farm to cater for livestock as well.
This is the start of it, what you see. So next one now, as soon as the fence goes up, I'll go and get the goats. Goats and Muscovy ducks in. So Muscovy ducks and goats, and then they have a wallabies. So we'll get wallabies around here. So those who like wallabies, they can come and buy it from me. Those who like goats, they can come and get it from me. Those who like ducks can come and get it from me.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.289 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2815, $0.3972 Australian dollars, $0.2414 euro, and 29.9 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed lower, copper closed higher. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 461.46 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 146.2 points higher. And the All Ordinaries is trading at 146.9 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Before we go overseas, the Business Council of Papua New Guinea's latest survey has revealed that PNG business leaders are tending to see the worst aspect of affairs as a result of COVID-19 and related restrictions imposed on businesses as part of state of emergency orders. A majority of the business leaders surveyed are forecasting a decrease in their revenue and net profit. This was revealed during a media conference today at the Business Council of PNG office in Port Moresby.
As the state of emergency continues to allow government to deal with relevant legislation, average Papua New Guineans are trying to adapt to the new normal as much as possible. But the already affected business community is now aware of the magnitude of the impact COVID-19 pandemic has had on businesses in PNG, and it is a tough road ahead in the immediate future.
The underlying message there is we are looking at massive reductions in revenue and profit on the businesses that we surveyed. When we're looking at the employment part of the piece, PNG businesses are doing their best to keep their employees, but could implement staffing changes if there is a low market demand that continues. And when we measured it from a 3 to 6 month period, 38% expect changes in staffing due to low demand, which effectively means laying off.
During the survey presentation today, Mr. Hanau said 75% of business leaders surveyed are expecting a decrease in their revenue, and 50% of the business leaders surveyed are expecting decline in their net profit. Furthermore, 66% of the business leaders surveyed said they can operate for 1 year only in the current business environment.
Business challenges and employment challenges directly impact government revenue. So from our sample survey, we observed that 1 million kina per day on excise tax was going to be lost. If you look at that from an annual perspective, that's 365 million kina. In the salaries wage tax, 113,000 kina per month. From the 119 respondents we received, that's 13.4 million kina per annum.
The survey covered 300 participants, 20 sectors of PNG's economy, and 10 provinces across the country. The two main recommendations put forward by the Business Council of PNG as a result of the survey are for restriction style of rules to be changed to a compliance style of rules, and for taxation relief to be applied by the government for businesses.
The important thing is, if we're going to recover, we need to move away from the April-May type of state of emergency to a much more recovery type of environment. And that recovery type of environment must principally consist of two main policy features, enabling features. The first one is to move away from restriction-related emergency rules to compliance emergency rules. And compliance means that we are opening the market, we're opening the business, but we're opening it in a manner in which it's compliant to COVID-19 rules. Social distancing, hygiene protocols are critical in this feature. The inbound overseas travel for workers and citizens and residents, obviously subject to quarantine controls. And also the importance of communicating materials with regards to the rules in social distancing and hygiene protocols. So this compliance environment is what is required for us to recover in the market. And then the next one is a fiscal relief part, which consists of a number of taxation measures that we're keen to discuss with government. Extend the amnesty benefits on salary wage taxes.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, in the United States, protesters have shifted from anger over George Floyd's death to demands for major policing reforms. Thousands turned up for Floyd's hometown funeral as America gears up for a showdown over the future of law enforcement.
George Floyd's body returning home to Houston. Encased in gold, a beacon for change.
This man whose death has changed the world, he's changed the world.
Hopefully policies will begin to change. People will begin to get out and vote and affect change.
He traded his life in for equality and righteousness for everybody else.
And today, more officers accused of using excessive force. This video surfacing of a white officer in New Mexico using a neck restraint, allegedly killing a Hispanic man earlier this year. Manslaughter charges adding to the nation's momentum for change. House and Senate Democrats kneeling in silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
You see how long it was to have that knee.
Before unveiling a major piece of legislation to reform all police departments, demanding a ban on chokeholds, a national registry on misconduct, and limiting police immunity protections.
Our commitment is to end our city's toxic relationship with the Minneapolis Police Department.
Yesterday, the Minneapolis City Council announced plans to defund and dismantle its police department, an idea gaining wide attraction to President Trump's dismay.
There won't be defunding, there won't be dismantling of our police.
and there's not going to be any disbanding of our police. Our police have been letting us live in peace.
Derek Chauvin, the former police officer who had his knee on Floyd's neck, has now appeared before a judge, facing charges including second-degree murder. His bail set at $2 million. After today's public memorial, a private family burial where George Floyd will be laid to rest next to his mother.
And Trukai Sports is next. Elijah Lavat joins us at the sports desk.
Thanks, Helen. I'll bring you some PNG National Rugby League competition updates after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition protocols that will guide the Digicel Cup competition starting next month will allow other rugby league competitions affiliated to the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League the opportunity to witness and also adapt the same protocols going forward if they want to start their season for 2020.
The first sporting competition is a month away from kick-off the Digicel Cup, but within the confines of the COVID-19 protocols, the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League along with the Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition have 3 guiding protocols in place.
So we have several protocols that our board has approved. We have our medical protocols, and we have our Bunnies club protocol and our Bunnies player protocol.
The PNG NRLC hosted the stakeholders meeting for club officials and game officials on Friday to have them understand the protocols and what to do during the competition in line with the approved protocols.
So it's the responsibility of all the attendees to ensure that they understand all these new protocols, they take it back to their franchise in the provinces or in Port Moresby Lay, and they ensure that they implement that.
The PNG NRLC says that the COVID-19 protocols are a developing issue in the country, and the competition will have to align their protocols with whatever the government puts in place going forward during the 2020 season.
Undertaken the necessary steps to comply, and should there be any other developments, of course we will consider those as and when they arise. Of course, it's a fast developing situation, and we've got to be agile, adaptive, to ensure that whatever is the most prudent and appropriate measures to minimise the risk of COVID-19, that those are undertaken at the right time.
Sandy Saka, PNG RFL chairman, says that the Digicel Cup is the only competition allowed to start, and with the platform set by the competition, it will serve as the example for other competitions to align their protocols and also adopt some of the practices.
As of today, only the Digicel Cup has authority to start, from the SOE controller and from the PNG RFL. All other clubs, leagues, competitions will have to satisfy that they will be able to comply before we give approval or we seek approval from the SOE controller for them to start. That's where we are today.
Felix Sukina, Trukai Sports.
And we'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. In Super Rugby, he's waited nearly 3 months to play rugby again, but Sam Cane's return has been placed on hold. The Chiefs are being dealt a blow for their Super Rugby restart against the Highlanders, with the All Blacks captain ruled out early.
His teammates bending their backs in anticipation of finally returning to the park. This is about all that was seen of Sam Cane at Chiefs training today. The newly appointed All Blacks skipper out of Saturday's contest against the Highlanders with a stiff back.
So I didn't train last week, just trying to get it right and Look, I could play this week. I feel pretty good. I was just getting a few Ks in the legs, but I've made the decision that I won't be playing.
He expects to only be out this week, but while it makes the 3-month COVID-enforced hiatus even more frustrating, fortunately it has no link to the neck injury that nearly ended his career in 2018.
It was more just like general soreness in my back. It tightened up a wee bit. Took a couple of days to settle down, and sort of Gats, I suppose, took the decision out of my hands and just decided that's what we're going to do this week.
Meanwhile, the return of crowds under Level 1, music to the ears of the players.
I was just happy to be back playing, to be fair. Obviously I haven't really experienced playing with no one watching at all, so that would have been different. But yeah, obviously now that there is fans in the crowd, obviously that brings a lot of hype to the game.
It also means the Chiefs won't have to fly in and out of Dunedin on the same day as originally planned under Level 2 restrictions, making the start to a now highly anticipated 10 weeks that little bit easier.
Rugby union star Elias Katoa has climbed the ranks into the NRL Rugby League club, the Warriors. He revealed much more about his journey from a tiny village in Tonga to the NRL Rugby League big time.
Elias Katoa cuts an imposing figure on the field, impacting a game he admits he's still learning in a league he never envisioned himself in.
I thought I'll be playing for the All Blacks or the Wallabies because I was a rugby boy, but in my mind back then was just to help my family out.
Moving from Tonga to Auckland's Tamaki College to play rugby as a teenager, it was this sort of play from the then blindside flanker that caught the eye of Warriors scouts. The 20-year-old jumping at the opportunity. Less than 2 years later, he was making his first grade debut.
I called my mum, "Oh mum, I'm playing in our end." She was like, "Oh cool, just look after yourself, son, and do your best." And so she doesn't know it's a big thing here, but they're really happy for me.
Part of that may be that in their tiny village there's only one TV, and for Katoa that was reserved for Super Rugby.
Like on the weekend, after school I always go there and sleep there, watch the game in the weekend. So yeah, it was hard back then, so only one TV.
It does mean Mum Akanesi has only ever seen him play in Facebook highlights.
In real life they haven't seen me playing.
I mean, what would it mean to you to one day have them see you play in real life?
Man, that'll be the best day ever in my life if I run into the field and see my mom standing on Princeton and look at me, like watch me playing. Yeah, so that's definitely one of my dreams.
His motivation constant, even as his sporting dreams have changed.
You're watching National EMTV News, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight in the southern region. Partly sunny and fine in Port Moresby. Windy and partly sunny and fine in Daru. Partly sunny in Kerema, fine although partly cloudy in Alatau, and mostly fine although partly cloudy in Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, a few showers, then fine although partly cloudy in Lae. In Medang, a few rain showers and drizzles and partly cloudy. A shower or two, then cloudy in Wewak, and a thundery rain showers, then cloudy weather in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine although partly cloudy with a chance of evening showers and drizzles in Lorengau. Partly cloudy with a shower or two in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul. A few thundery showers, then cloudy in Kimbe, and mostly fine although partly cloudy in Buka. In the Highlands region, chances of thundery rain showers and drizzles, then partly cloudy in Mount Hagen. Rain showers and drizzles, then cloudy weather in Goroka and Kundiawa, and thundery rain showers at times in Mendi and Wabag. Forecast for small crafts within the coastal waters of Papua New Guinea for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG, Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, to Gulf of Papua, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, Aroma Coast, to Samari Islands, including all Middle Bay Islands, and with waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to Siasi Islands and Long Island, seas of 2 to 3 meters. Waters of East Cape to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 1 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Wewak to Aitape to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of New Ireland to East New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter. And waters of West New Britain, seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas very rough to high seas with southeasterly winds at 25 to 33 knots with gusts to 47 knots at times. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate to rough with southeasterly winds at 20 to 30 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with east to southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 9th of June 2020. On behalf of the entire news team, pleasant evening, good night.